Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 10. Yes, episode 10 of the State Strong podcast. I'm Marty Jacobs. I'm your host, and it's kind of crazy to think I'm at 10 episodes. Hopefully, there'll be a day where I sit down and think, oh man, now I'm at 100 or 500 or 1,000. But with this episode, we hit a milestone. After this intro and outro, this podcast will probably be over 1 hour or 2 hours. So that's a record that I set with a good friend of mine who really we became friends in a very short amount of time, Stefan Perri. And Stefan, you'll kind of learn in the podcast, we got to work some together, and just an entrepreneur mindset, a real go-getter, an athlete who's gotten to play all over the world, and just a really cool story. And what's funny about this podcast, you'll see, I think it's about halfway through, it takes a left turn into a completely other set of interests and things that I had no idea Stefan had been a part of. So, and that's a lot of times with these podcasts, my goal, and if you know or follow any of the guests, you can ask them. There's times that I'll tell them when we're setting up, hey, you don't have to tell me anything. Like, I'd rather just find out naturally, organically when we're sitting down recording. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Stefan Perri on the State Strong podcast. Stefan, we're live. Things are so real. You can't just sit there and smile the whole time.
Right.
So just
I'll participate.
That would be appreciated. Otherwise, this is gonna be a very awkward episode. So right before we started this episode, I think it's important that we point out the conversation at hand. Okay. We were talking about bodybuilding.
We were.
And we were talking about very specific things in bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. And I used a term, and I don't know. I felt like I feel like you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Had you heard that term before?
Yeah, I have, but not in like the context of bodybuilding. I think it was just like when you say it, you mean like a Speedo, right? Like what I think of is like a European bathing suit. In like if I were to go to a beach in Europe, like that term would be used for the bathing suits I would see.
So the term in question is banana hammock.
Yeah.
We're talking about banana hammocks, ladies and gentlemen. And what's interesting is I learned something from that conversation.
Okay.
So let's back up.
Okay.
You and I met. This is like our third time hanging out together. Mm-hmm. So you and I met basically me jumping in to help do a program at the local gym I'm at.
Right.
So you currently, we've only hung out a handful of times, like I said. Mm-hmm. But what would you call your profession right now, as far as what you're doing right now?
I haven't really thought about that, but I think if I had a job description, mm-hmm. right now, I sub at the school district that I'm in, which is Chillicothe. So I sub in whichever schools they need me. But I just came back from Australia, so I was playing soccer abroad, and then I also run my own, private soccer training. So I do small group and one-on-one soccer training in Chillicothe, and then I've also kind of branched out into other markets. I've been up in Columbus with ODP as a coach up there, and then I'm also down here in Jackson doing the strength and soccer classes here at Iron City Barbell. Yeah,
so when I heard about you were the international soccer player. Mm-hmm. So you've been to Australia, I think you said Ireland also.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and those were both playing for teams.
Yeah.
Now, where else have you played for?
Texas,
mm-hmm.
and here in Ohio. I went to Notre Dame College, which is up in Cleveland, Ohio. When I was there, it was an NAIA school. It has since been, they switched over into Division II, NCAA. Division II. So I didn't play in the Division II. I played in the NAIA. And then I've also played at John Carroll. That's the school I graduated from, which is actually right across the street in University Heights. And it's a Division III school.
And you're from Chillicothe, Ohio.
Chillicothe,
originally.
Ohio. Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So let's back up. When did soccer become like a sport for you that you thought, this is something I'd like to take pretty serious?
I think probably sometime around high school when I made it my primary sport.
Really?
Yeah,
So
because
it was kind of late. Would you say? Like, was it early high school?
I think it would be later maybe compared to like kids now. I think kids now they don't, or maybe the kids that are in the club that I coach at now, they have like clearly defined goals of like I want to go play in college or I want to be a professional soccer player. I might have had thoughts of it when I was younger, but I didn't make it like really my focus, like my focus sport until probably freshman year of high school. But I've been playing, gosh, since I could walk, because my older brother, he played, and we're 3 years apart, and so, naturally, like the younger brother wants to do everything the older brother does, and so I guess the story goes, if you ask my mom, he was at practice, and I was maybe just watching and found a ball and just started kicking it, and then I guess the love or whatever you'd call it at that age, slowly developed. And
that's interesting. So
yeah,
it's literally attributed to like being around your older brother, probably initially.
Yeah.
Watching him play soccer.
Mm-hmm. Although I couldn't tell you one memory of watching him play. That's obviously at that age.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then I can recall like when he was on the JV team at CHS. This would have to be like 2003, like way before I was in high school. They went and played maybe a team called Whitehall over there in Columbus.
Yeah.
And I remember, or no, Whetstone. It wasn't Whitehall. It was Whetstone. And at that time, CHS had a varsity, a JV-A, and a JV-B, JV-B would basically be like a freshman team.
Yeah. And that's a pretty big school if they've got.
Yeah, they had
JV.
three soccer teams. Are you kidding? Now we can barely get like two. Like this year at CHS, I was the assistant there for CHS the past 2 years, and last year there were more kids. I think we had like maybe 35, 36. This year we had about 30, or 28. So it's enough for two teams, but I don't know. We definitely wouldn't be able to have a third team. Like it just wouldn't work.
Now, did you have aspirations in high school as far as like I might be interested in making soccer a career? Like when did that switch go off?
I don't think that switch kind of went off until like it very, very late for me. Like very, very late, because I was in high school, and like a typical American soccer player, it's like, well, what do you do after high school? Like at the time in 2008 when you graduate, there really wasn't, like I had no idea of like I could go play abroad. So that door was there, but I had no idea that it existed. And then even if it did exist, I wouldn't have known how to open it.
Yeah.
Because my contacts or my network wasn't big enough, and I don't think that I really had dreams or aspirations to go over. I just didn't know about it. Just lacked the knowledge. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I went to maybe one or two college combines, and the one where the coaches from Notre Dame saw me was called the College Combine. I think Northern Ohio College Combine. It was up in Cleveland, which obviously coaches in Cleveland would go from those schools, and I don't know how many coaches went, but that was, I can't even remember when it was, but it was late into my senior year, and I wasn't recruited out of high school. Like I had to reach out to other schools. Like I reached out to like Wilmington and Ohio State, which obviously was like a huge reach for me because I was in D2 as a high schooler. To go play at the D1 level, I wasn't even close. Like I was 6 feet, 132, 135 pounds. Like not even close to what they would look for in a D1 athlete. They're looking for very big, athletic kids. Like you need to be ready to play.
Oh yeah.
At that level to get recruited, and I wasn't nearly as good as what I thought I was.
So do you feel like scouting the schools was more for like scholarship purposes, or instead of like maybe turning it into a career?
Yeah, I think it was. I just wanted to keep playing.
Mm.
I didn't really have any concept or idea of what like the financial burden that college would become.
Mm.
I had no idea, because like as a kid, like someone could tell you school is either 15,000 or 45,000, but like as an 18-year-old, I didn't have any real concept of money or like what it was. Like I worked, and like I worked to put gas in my car, and I worked to pay for like season tickets for the crew,
right?
Little things like that. But huge investments like a car, or a house, or funding college, I just didn't have any concept of it. So no, I was looking more at schools if I could just play. Like I just wanted to play.
That's cool.
And so like I did my own recruiting in a sense. Like I reached out to coaches. Like I would send these like if I could get back into that email account and just look at the emails I'd send coaches, I probably would have just punched myself.
Oh man, I would love to read some of those
because I had no idea. I'm sure like one of the emails was like, "Hey coach, my name is this. I'm 18 years old from this school. I'm interested in your program. Can I come out to the school for a visit?
I'll clean your toilets." Or
something like that. I don't even remember what I said, but I for sure reached out to Wilmington College. There was a program in Cleveland State, which is another D1 school. But again, like me thinking that I was way better than what I was at the time, I'm sure those coaches were just like, who the hell is this kid?
So what was the transition point? Like, did someone reach back out to you then? Did someone respond?
Right. So I went through my senior year. We got knocked out in the district final against Marietta. And then, I was like, okay, well, high school soccer's over. So what do we do now? And then you play indoor up at Triple Crown or whatever, which at the time the league was okay. It wasn't terrible. But it's kind of like, big fish in a little pond.
Oh yeah.
Being good there is kind of like you're like the smartest dumb kid.
Yeah.
It's like there's not a lot of talent, so to be good there, it doesn't really say much. Go up to Columbus, and if you're good in a Columbus league, like there's more talent. So you go from the high school to indoor, and then you go to the spring club season.
Yeah. And
my senior year, I played with the local team in Chillicothe, which at the time it wasn't called First Capital FC, which it is now. Or it's a totally different club. It's not even the same people, anything. But at the time it was CISA, or Chillicothe Soccer Academy, CSA. And played for them, and then I would guest play over in Dayton because my next door neighbor Tim, he was playing for a team over in Dayton, which was like much higher level. I would say definitely better coaching, better players.
Now, is this still indoor?
No, this is outdoor.
Yeah.
So I spent some time indoor with them as well. I would go over to meet Tim, and I would drive with his parents. His parents would take us on like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I can't remember. And we'd go play. I want to say it was like a men's league or maybe like college kids, because I remember going over there with the high school players, and we just got our asses kicked every single night. I mean, the game, being in high school and playing against college kids or men that are like 23, 24, 25, whatever, up until like their 30s, that had that kind of experience. Like the game is just beyond you as a high school player. Like the speed and the pace of the game, like the amount of actions that happen per minute, would just you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And coming off of a high school season in Chillicothe, Ohio, did not prepare you whatsoever to go play over there.
Do you feel like that age gap? I mean, obviously, like for athletes, you're starting to get into your prime years, like mid-20s, on up probably through late 20s and maybe early 30s, depending on like your athleticism. But do you feel like it was a combination of where their bodies were, but also maybe their understanding of the game at that point too? Because I think about like when I was in high school, I was really dumb, like really dumb when it came to whether it was athletics. Like it was because I played soccer my senior year. I played on the JV team. Nothing to be impressed about. I just wanted to play soccer my senior year. Okay. But like I just think about any athletics that I was in, it was more about the amount of effort I put forth instead of the strategy applied to that effort. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So, like, who you are as a soccer player now, do you feel like there's more tact to what you're going to do than maybe 18, 17-year-old Stefan?
Technically, yeah, absolutely. I'm much better technically than I was at 18. I understand the game much better. I think overall I'm a totally different player
Yeah.
than I was, and I wish like I knew now, or I trained as hard as I do now when I was 16, 17, 18, because I would have been better prepared, for college or to go abroad. But
Yeah.
there's just, again, you don't know what you don't know, and like the problem of coming from a small town and playing in a small town all the time is like you think that you're good, but then you go to college, for example, and you're playing at a college where you leave a high school and you're 18, and so you're the top of the food chain because you're playing, like, you're 17, 18, playing against 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, and like you're at the advantage. But then when you go to college, now you're playing against people that could be 23, 24, in their 20s, and physically or athletically much better than you.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. It's a big change.
So what was, when you transitioned to college, so was it a school that reached back out to you then that you made the decision to go to?
Yeah, so the assistant coach at the time was Carl Nolan. He's now I think he wasn't the assistant, he was the associate head coach, which obviously the title is different. I think assistant coach and associate head coach are obviously very different. But he had reached out to me, called me. He's like, hey, we saw you at this combine. Would you be interested in coming up for a visit? Like, we liked what we saw. Would you be interested in coming up for a visit and we can talk? And I didn't know anything about the school, where it was, like nothing. All I heard was, do you want to come for a visit? Maybe you have an opportunity to play. And so I heard that and I was like, okay. I told my parents, hey, can we go up to, and then I found out it was in Cleveland, and I'd never been to Cleveland before. And I was like, hey, can we go up there and have a visit? I went up, and the school was small, which is ideal for me because I don't think I was ready. I definitely wasn't mature enough to go to a school like Ohio State or Cleveland State where there's, 40, 50,000 people, a couple hundred kids in a classroom. I would have been lost in the masses. I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. I know going to a smaller school was a good decision, for sure. But yeah, they reached out to me, and we had phone calls back and forth. I think maybe phone calls like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not really sure. It's so long ago now, So
there was a reasonable back and forth.
Yeah, there was enough.
You went up there.
There was enough of a relationship for me to go up there.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I wasn't just gonna go off of one phone call. No chance.
So what was that first season like playing college ball?
Oh God, I wasn't ready at all. I was running. I remember they sent the fitness plan, which was like a combination of running and lifting. I don't recall there being much soccer involved at all. Like, I mean, it would be hard because you're on your own, and soccer's a team sport. So what can you really do on your own to get ready for a college season unless you're playing on a team?
Yeah.
Which I wasn't, because in the summer, club finished around, I think maybe May, June at the latest. So you have like June, July, maybe half of August, and then you go into preseason.
Yeah. And
I remember that they had sent me the program, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna kill this. This is gonna be great. And I would run with one of the cross country track guys that was a little older than my brother. He's like 4 or 5 years older than me. We'd go run around Chillicothe. So, like, the running aspect, I had that down perfect. I think the lifting, I was a little shaky on that because, again, I was like 135 pounds. I don't really remember lifting a lot that summer.
Yeah.
I remember doing a lot of running, but I don't recall having like much purpose to it. It was like very well, I want to say methodical, but it was just I got into like a rhythm.
Mm.
But I don't recall, being like, okay, I need to do this at this pace and this pace and this pace. I think it just got to a point where I was just running every day.
Yeah,
and
you just thought more means better.
Yeah, and it was, I think it ramped up every week to a point where you would do like 35 miles a week, something like that.
So you were doing a lot of running.
Yeah, I mean, it eventually got up to that point. And so, if you were running 5 days out of the week, 2 days off, you'd have, 7 miles in a day. For a high school kid that didn't really run a whole lot, like that was a lot for me.
Oh yeah.
But there was no sprinting involved. I don't remember doing any sprinting workouts. I don't remember doing much with the ball. And this has nothing to do with the program. This could just be me not interpreting it properly or just not executing it properly or just being a lazy ass and not doing it. It's very possible.
So what was it like first day on the field getting to play with players that are that much older and have been in it that much longer?
Well, so I showed up on campus and I was actually on what they called the development team, so like JV. The first team had already been there for 2 weeks doing like 1-2 a days. I don't think I had made the cut for making it to preseason. And so I was on the JV team, and we started like the first day of school. Everybody else had 2 weeks on us. So, yeah, back to your question. The first day, the first practice, I don't even remember. It's been so long ago.
Yeah.
But I know that I wasn't ready for it. And I had gotten sick, actually, like the first week or the first couple days into college. I'd gotten like really, really sick.
Really?
Yeah, I got really sick. I don't know what it was. If it was like, it wasn't tonsillitis because nothing got removed. But
so was it like sore throat type stuff?
But like my throat had almost swelled shut to the point where I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
I don't know if it was an allergic reaction. It was definitely like sick. I was definitely sick. And I remember walking to the doctor's office, which was across the street from the campus. And they're like, well, we can't do anything for you. I think it might have been like they didn't take my insurance or something. They said, hey, go down the street to, I think it was University Hospital or Cleveland Clinic. They can see you. They can diagnose it, whatever. I remember I got down there and they gave me something to drink that like numbed my throat so that it wouldn't hurt to swallow. And then they sent me home with antibiotics. And I remember just like being so sick. My brother was in Youngstown State at the time, and he drove like Youngstown to Cleveland. I don't know how far that is, but he drove over there to make sure I was okay. I remember just sleeping in my dorm room for 2 or 3 days that weekend. Didn't see anybody. Just I was like dead, And this is literally like my first time away from home.
Great start.
Yeah, right. Like mom and dad aren't there to take care of me.
That's cool. Your brother drove up to check on you.
He was a lot closer than Chillicothe, so yeah, it was very, very good of him. But I remember like feeling so helpless because I didn't know what to do. I was 18. I wasn't prepared for this. I knew I needed to go to the doctor, but then I was like, do I go to school? Do I not go to school? But they gave me antibiotics, and then they also gave me, I think they gave me Vicodin or codeine. But yeah, they were still doing
the real college experience started.
No, maybe. I never got addicted to pills, never ever. But they gave me a prescription for Vicodin. I don't believe that they gave me a refill.
Yeah.
I don't think that they did.
Well, and you probably didn't either.
But they also gave me a bottle of them, and after like 2 days, I was good. But yeah, I was sick, and so I didn't even practice like probably like the first week and a half with the team.
Wow.
And the coaches are probably like, what's going on with this kid? Like, is he just another?
I mean, I know you're young, but like, is there ever a point like, because what I think is interesting with the dynamic of going from high school to college is if you're going there with the purpose of playing, do you have that in the back of your mind when it comes to your performance on the field? Like, did that ever cross your mind is like, I need to make sure that my performance is good because, this is what got me here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't give me a lot of money to be there, like scholarship wise. I think I had more. I had gotten more money academically. So, but yeah, I was definitely there to perform. But after taking, being in shape, and then almost basically losing everything, to go into practice, I was like, man, I need to try really hard to even get playing time now.
Yeah.
Because I'm way behind everybody else. I played a lot for the development team that first year. But, performance-wise, I always just was like, I'm going to go out and do my best. And, if my best is enough to get me on the field, then okay. If not, then I need to work harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was, now it's all kind of coming back to me because I haven't thought about that in a while, in a very long time. But I remember being sick and going into a practice, and we had like a fitness portion of the practice, which honestly was just like running from cone to cone across the field or something. Like, I guess we were testing our lung capacity or something. It wasn't a beep test. It was, I don't even remember that practice. But I remember my green shoes that I had. I still have them.
So what's the best story you can give me, like funny story from college soccer days?
Okay, so that bottle of Vicodin, I maybe took like one or two of them. I remember my first day back to class, I had taken one and I wasn't sure about, like, I never read the labels on the stuff. It was just like, hey, take this and then whatever. So I took it and didn't have breakfast, like a pain pill. Took two of them and then went to class. And I was feeling okay. And I emailed my professor, like, hey, I'll be in class today. I walk about 20 steps from the dorm, and I feel my stomach, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And like, you get that feeling when you're about to throw up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that, I don't know, it's not like butterflies. It's just, but you just know it's going to happen.
Oh, it's all bad.
And I got 20 steps from the dorm room, and I just went like, whoa. And I remember not eating anything, so nothing really came out, but I saw like part of the pill like undigested. I saw the cap of the pill.
Yeah.
Something like that. It was just laying in the ground. I was like, oh, well, that probably did it.
That's the culprit.
So I went back to the dorm, emailed the professors. I was like, hey, I'm not coming to class today. I just threw up. I'm sorry. Like, if there's any work, like, I'll make it up. That was it wasn't funny, but I had told some kids that were in the dorm. I was in an all boys dorm.
Yeah.
And I had told somebody on like another floor, maybe across the hallway from me, like, hey, I have, he had asked me. I told him I had gotten sick, and then he had asked me, like, oh, well, what did they give you? And I was like, oh, it's called Vicodin. And I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Like, I had dabbled in things in high school, but not pills.
Right.
And I told him, and he's like, oh, well, do you want to sell them? And I was like, do you want to buy them? And he was like, yeah, I'll give you $5 a pill. And I was like, okay. But he only wanted like one or two at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, why don't I just get rid of this whole bottle, like, so I can be done with this and stop having these weird interactions with people that I'm not friends with. You know what I mean? Like,
did you become really popular that first couple of weeks of college?
that first like day. It was a week between when he bought, like, I think 2 pills for me. It was like $10. And then I still had the rest of the bottle. And he's like, hey, well, how many do you have left? And I was like, maybe 20. He's like, okay, I'll give you $5 a pill. And I was like, boom, done. Get it out. And I was like, hey, I just made $100 off of the rest of the bottle. I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I didn't go out and seek more pills. Yeah. I didn't go out and seek like other, illicit drugs or things to sell. It literally, I was just an entrepreneur for like a week.
Yeah, you accidentally became a street pharmacist for like a week.
Yeah.
We are not saying that's what you should do with your college experience. It was an innocent, it sounds like a mostly innocent situation. Yeah. And you made a quick buck, man.
So, okay, freshman year of college. Wow. This is a very funny and inappropriate story. So, I was in a dorm room with a basketball player, but then across the hall, and we had suite style dorms. So it was like 2 people in a room, joined by a bathroom, and then 2 people on the other side. The other 2 people that were in our suite were the RAs. And so obviously there's no messing around in our suite because we're next to the RAs.
Right.
But across the hall we had 2 soccer players, and then their suite was joined by 2 other basketball players who were really cool. One night where all the soccer boys are in, like the JV soccer boys were in the dorm room across from my room. I can't even remember the number, but it was Peterson Hall there at Notre Dame. And like me and Dom Severino and Shane Rivera. I'm name dropping. I'm going to name drop. I am going to name drop.
Sorry.
I'm definitely going to name drop.
This must be good.
I won't say who it was, but I know who was in the room. And there was like those 4. Tony Rittenauer was in there.
Who Tony,
else?
What were you doing in there?
Tony. Tony was a character.
Come
I think
Tony.
Eric was in there with us. We always said Eric because of Billy Madison.
Oh.
Eric's pregnant. Yeah, you know the reference.
That's amazing.
But anyway, so we're all in there. We weren't drinking. We were just like playing video games, and just like having a good time. Hanging out with the boys. And one of them got the bright idea to be like, hey, I'm gonna shit in a bag. Sorry, I don't mean to say shit. I'm gonna poop in a bag. And we're like, okay, like that sounds like a great idea. So we're gonna encourage you to do it. Like, okay, yeah, poop in a bag for sure. It wasn't a brown bag. It was like a Giant Eagle Kroger plastic bag.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And we're like, there's no way. Like he went in the bathroom. And we're like, there's no way he's actually gonna do this. 2-3 minutes later, sure enough, comes out. He's got like a steaming pile in the bag, and we're like, what? What are you gonna do with that now? Like now you have it. Oh, you know what it was? Okay, back up. So we're on the 3rd floor of Peterson Hall. Obviously, directly below us is the 2nd floor, and the room below us has got an air conditioning unit. And in Peterson, there's no air conditioning, and so there might have been some animosity because the room below us, they had a medical waiver to get an air conditioning unit because we weren't allowed to even bring one unless you had a medical reason to have an air conditioner. You weren't allowed to have one.
That's interesting.
So you just had to open up your windows when it was hot out and use a bunch of fans. So the room below us had an air conditioning unit, and we knew him. We were friends with him, and I remember like we had grabbed the broom and we were banging on the windows or whatnot. And then one of the guys in our room was like, "Hey, I'm gonna stick my ass out the window and take a poop on the air conditioning unit. We think that would be hilarious." And we're like, "You're probably either gonna fall out the window or you're gonna miss."
Yeah.
Right. So how do we make this more accurate? And somebody got the bright idea. Hey, poop in a bag.
Let's poop in a bag.
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said, we're like, nah, he'll back out. He'll back out. Nope. He came out of the bathroom, had the poop in the plastic grocery bag. And we're like, okay, I guess this is gonna happen.
Game on.
And so everybody's like dead quiet. Sticks it out the window. He drops it, and then all you hear is, like you just hear the noise, and like everybody just loses it, like absolutely loses it. And we're going crazy, like, oh my god, he pooped on the air conditioning unit, blah blah blah. And then I think we all scattered. We got out of the room, and I don't know. We never got in trouble for this, by the way. I don't know how we never got caught. It was like when the administration asked us about it, like either you weren't in the room or you didn't know who did it or you were asleep, but there were 6 people in the room, so that doesn't add up. But yeah, no one ever got caught. The assistant dean was Brian Emerson. What a guy he was. He was the one that did the investigation. And yeah, I remember him asking me a bunch of questions, and I'm like, it's not even my room. I don't even remember if I was in there. I mean, like me, my personality, I was like, I didn't see or hear or do anything. I don't know anybody that was in there, even though like 10 minutes ago on this, I just name dropped. But who knows if they were actually there? I don't know.
Right.
But we never, ever told anyone, like the group of us that did it or that possibly were involved. We never got caught. No one ever got prosecuted. No one got kicked off campus or anything. that's probably one of the funniest stories from college. Somebody pooping on an air conditioner. And then
it always comes back to poop.
it does. That was a very funny story. I'm sure those guys remember it. I know Dom for sure. I've lost touch with Dom, but I could probably reach out to him on Facebook and say, hey, you remember when that kid pooped on the air conditioning unit? And he'd probably just die laughing.
Oh, yeah.
But I think just that the school would investigate it made it even funnier because it's like, is it really that big of a deal? Like, is it really vandalism?
No one got murdered. No one's glass got broke. But there was some poop involved.
It's not like it got into a vent, and then cycled through into their room and made the room smell like poop. It didn't happen. So if anything, it was pretty harmless. But over that winter break, so that happened towards the end of the fall season of the soccer season. We went home for winter break. We came back. Now this is even funnier because that same room had one soccer guy in it. That same room, somehow one of them had left the window open all winter break. And birds got in there. And then the birds couldn't get out because birds aren't very smart. So the birds got in, and I don't know how long it took for them to die, but they were in there, and they pooped everywhere. Everywhere. And somebody, can you imagine coming back from winter break?
Oh my!
And you open up your dorm room, like you stick your key in, you open up your dorm room, it's like, all right, good to be back, and then you just see shit everywhere. Can you imagine, right?
And dead birds.
Yeah, and then so the group of us that were involved with the poop gate or whatever, we heard about it and we're just dying laughing because it's like, this is the shit room.
Oh my gosh!
You got your elevator pooped on, all of your belongings, like a bird pooped all over them. It was a fun year, that room.
That's a bad room to be in.
We actually I think we told them the next year, our sophomore year, we told them because we were all friends, but we ended up telling them like a year later. But at that point it was too long ago to.
Oh yeah.
People had moved off campus or had left schools, so it's like you can't really, do anything to us.
Now there's a certain amount of time.
There's definitely a statute of limitations.
Yeah,
for defecating. I think.
When a certain amount passes.
Yeah.
I mean, you own up to, and it's like you can't.
No pun intended. The amount that passed. Yeah.
Very well played. So you're in college.
But that's probably the funniest stories for sure.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. We're also not saying that if you're in college and currently listening to this podcast that you should poop on anyone or anyone's belongings.
I'm sure there was much worse things that people have done.
Yes.
100%. So this is pretty tame compared to the other ones.
We are not saying that you should go pooping on staff.
No.
It just so happens that somebody
possibly
in somebody's room may have pooped and their poop had landed in a bag and that bag had landed on someone's air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
So, but you're in college.
Right.
And at the beginning of this podcast, you mentioned the opportunity to travel abroad and play was there, but you weren't aware of it. So when did you become aware of that? And how did you make that kind of transition?
I mean, I didn't even think about going overseas until I was 25, 26.
Really?
Yeah, very, very late. So because most people now, or not now, but generally, you've missed your window to go abroad. Generally, you'll see 16, 17, 18-year-olds. You won't see people past 24, 25, clubs taking a risk on an quote-unquote older player. Mm-hmm. They would rather bring in a younger player, an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, bring them over because they're still young enough that they can develop. It's not too late, for them. But I was living and working in Midland, Texas, West Texas, and I was playing in this Sunday adult league. It was in Odessa, it was a little more competitive. In Midland, it was much more tame. I think there might have been 6 or 7 teams. Out in Odessa, there was divisions A, B, and C. So it was a little bit better out there. But I had played with some of those guys, and one of the kids was talking about how they had went to a combine, a professional combine. There were pro coaches there that liked him, and he had said one of the coaches was looking at him, but he was just lacking one thing,
Mm.
I was like, okay, well, maybe you should work on that one thing, go back and, do it again. He's like, well, yeah, I'm going to. There's another combine in Houston in 6 months or something. Like, it was in June, I think. And I had played against this kid, and I was like, if he can do it, I can definitely do it.
Yeah.
He was a forward, so forward and defender, right back is a very different position. But I looked at his skills, and I was like, yeah, if he's getting looks, then I think I could.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went online, like I said, hey, give me the website. What information do you have? He's like, here, this is what it's called. Go online, if something you want to do, cool. So I went and looked. This was around maybe 2016. Dang, I'm trying to think now. The timeline is getting, as you get older, the timeline starts to blur, doesn't it?
I know, it's all one big year. Your whole life happens.
So 2016, August is when I moved out to Midland. Yeah, Midland. In 2017 is when I did the combine and then went to Ireland. Okay, so late 2016, early 2017 is when he had talked to me about the combine. And so I think it was about January 1st or 3rd. I come back from visiting in Ohio, went back to Texas, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, and I think it was $300. And at the time it was a lot of money, still is, but I was like, I'm financially committed to this, so now I need to work. And I'm going to work every day to get better and work towards this combine. And so that's what I did. My schedule between full-time work and training and playing, I was busy all the time. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and it was long distance. She was still in Columbus, and I was out in Texas. But so my daily routine from January to 2 weeks, a week and a half before the combine was, I was up at 4:30 in the morning, go to the gym, come back, shower, and then go to work from 7 to 3 or 7 to 3:30. I'm not really sure. Can't remember, honestly. I would come home, eat, then go to the field and do my footwork, foot skills, and then if I had a fitness session, I would do that. So those two things. And then I would come home, eat again, and then by that time it would probably be 8, 9 o'clock, and I was like, I'm going to be in bed every single night at 10 p.m. It doesn't matter what's going on, 10 p.m., I'm home, I'm in bed. I'm at least in bed trying to fall asleep. Not I have to be asleep by 10 o'clock because I can't control when I fall asleep. I can control when I'm in the bed. But that's what I did. That was my schedule every single day. And then I added to that on I had looked for people to help me train. So not only was I doing playing on Sundays, I was trying to do as many pickup games as I could, just play. And there was nobody in Midland, Odessa that was doing private training to help me get better. And at the time I was like, this is what I need. And so one of my friends on Facebook, or I think it might have been Instagram, was like, hey, check out D1. You know what D1 is? D1 gym.
No.
D1 Athletics. It's it's a franchise of gyms. And it's athletic training and sports training and whatnot. But so I did a Google search. Turns out there was nothing even close because West Texas is so remote. Without Midland and Odessa, there's nothing there.
Wow.
It's 4 hours to Fort Worth, 4 hours to El Paso. If you go south, you're 2 hours north of the Mexico border. If you go north, it's 2 hours to Lubbock. And everything in between, there's nothing.
Wow.
I'm talking about it's just flat desert, the rolling tumbleweeds. You'll see that. I kid you not. I saw them out there. So anyways, I did the Google search on D1. The closest one was 2 hours away in Lubbock, Texas. And I had emailed and then called and set up an appointment. It didn't go well the first time because the guy showed up late. And I think it was a miscommunication between who was supposed to show up. But I was in the parking lot. I had driven, and get this, you know, keep in mind I drove 2 hours on a Saturday when I didn't need to do any of that. Drove 2 hours. The guy shows up late, and they were like, "Hey, I'm sorry. You know, I thought it was next week or it was supposed to be at this time." And I sat and waited for like probably 45 minutes.
Wow.
And they ended up not charging me for the first session because of that. I was like, that's great. Awesome. Saved me however much money it was. But we went through that first session, and it was more, there was nothing involved with the ball. It was purely getting me faster, stronger, more agile. And it was tough. Like, I went, before I left for Ireland, you know, he was like, you know, that first session we did, I didn't think you were going to make it.
Wow.
Because I wasn't in shape, as good of shape as I thought that I was. But we worked from like January all the way until I left for Ireland. And then we kept working together until when I got back, and then when I moved back to Ohio, obviously I couldn't work with him. But that schedule that I gave you, then I added Saturdays. We would do Saturdays at 10 a.m. So that meant I needed to leave the house in Midland at 8 a.m., like on the dot, or I would be late. So I would get up at like 7. I'd have my meals packed from Friday night. And then Saturday I'd wake up about 7, have a shower. Breakfast I always made daily. I never meal prepped breakfast because I always just got up in time.
Yeah.
Got up enough time to at least have a fresh breakfast. I'd pack my meals. I would eat like right before 8 o'clock, so I'd be about 2 hours before I trained. As soon as I finished training, I would have like oranges and a protein shake, and then I would come home, and then I would drive 2 hours back, and then have the rest of the day to myself. I usually would take Saturdays off because I did the training session, and then Sundays I would play.
Well, it was basically, I mean, almost a work day because you've got 4 hours on the road already. Yeah,
and then an hour of training, so 5.
Yeah. And this is all with the intention of getting this opportunity to travel to Ireland.
Well, like the way I justified it was, I had the money to do it, and so, but if I didn't have the money, obviously I wouldn't have gone. But I was like, I want to be as good as I possibly can be for this combine. It's 3 days in front of professional coaches. Like, I don't want to go, and you know, these coaches have this wrong idea of what type of player I am.
Yeah.
I want to. It's a show. It's a combine. Like, you need to be at your best. So I was doing everything I could to be at my best. It got to the point where, and I don't know where I got this idea for the ice baths, but I would. So in Midland, they do a lot of like oil refinery and oil fracking, or I'm not sure if they do fracking, but there's definitely. Like, oil is the big business out there. That's the driving force. Yeah. That's why there's Midland and Odessa. But because of that industry, if you don't have an oil filter, a water filter at your house, like the tap water there is disgusting. It's so gross. I can't imagine like how good it is for your health. Like, the water was like brownish.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you didn't have a filter. Luckily, the guy that I lived with, Dennis, was from Kenya. He had a water system built in, so like the shower was filtered, the tap water was filtered, the stuff that came out of the fridge was filtered. But if you didn't have that, you would either buy water bottles from like Walmart or wherever, or they had like these water and ice machines, like water and ice dispensers, massive. They were all over the place.
Wow.
But you could fill up like a gallon jug of water for 25 cents.
Yeah.
Or you could get like bulk ice. You had to have your own container, unless you wanted to pay $1 for the bag, and then they would bag it for you. But you could get like, I remember I would get like 5 or 10 pounds of ice for $2.25.
That's crazy. Just because it's so bad out there.
Yeah. Well, like they have those stations set up because, I guess like the ice is because people. Obviously, if you're using the tap water to freeze the water to make ice cubes, it's still shitty ice, right?
Yeah.
And so then you're putting it into your drinks.
Gosh, that's crazy.
Right? So, yeah, that makes sense. But then you'd see people, like, have their Yetis. Like, guys would go and work 12, 16 hours pretty routinely in the oil fields. So you'd see that a lot. People go hunting or fishing or whatnot. It was really convenient, and it wasn't expensive. I mean, literally could have a jug of water for 25 cents. Like, that's nothing.
No, that's great.
I think water should be free anyways, but it's somebody is paying for that location. I understand like the business behind it, but yeah, so I would those machines were very valuable to me because then I would use those for ice baths. I think initially I was buying ice from the gas stations possibly, or I would do it in a pinch when I didn't have the coolers, but I had a truck at the time and I would always have like a cooler with me. And so I would fill up a cooler full of ice, and I think it would be like 10 pounds would fit in there. And I would just dump 10, 20 pounds into the bathtub and sit in the ice baths after the day. So like at the end of the day, like my body knew like, hey, the ice bath's coming. Once I did the ice bath, I would sit in there for like 15 minutes or so, and then I would just go to bed.
Yeah.
But that was my day. I mean, up at 4:30, work all day from 7 to 3:30. I'd do like a fitness session or like a soccer session, the fitness session, and then go get the ice from the machine, run the ice bath, and like my roommates knew like, hey, like 7, 8 o'clock, don't be in the bathroom, because we only had the three bedrooms, 2 baths. They just knew like, hey, don't be in there, because I would get pissed if somebody was in there. I was like, my ice is melting, like I'm not gonna recover as fast as I should. But that was what I did every day. And then the guy from D1, Jake, he was talking to me about cherry Bundy, cherry juice, as like how it helped with recovery. They used it because he was an assistant athletic trainer at Texas Tech there in Lubbock.
Wow.
So they used it on the football team, and he said that the guys, like, it really helped with their recovery. And so I would drink like half a serving of. I do a serving a day, but I would split it 4 ounces in the morning, 4 ounces in the evening. So like before I went to the gym, or I think it was after I went to the gym, and then before I went to bed at night, I would drink it again, and it helped. I still drink it now.
Yeah.
I do it on the like. I don't drink it as often, just because I'm not in the same routine now.
Oh yeah. Well, and you were razor focused, so.
Yeah, man, I was in machine mode.
So let's
it really
fast
killed.
forward. You go to the combine.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
It was very, very hot. I remember before I left in Midland, the weekend before I left for Houston, it was 120 degrees, and I was out on the field, and I was just doing my training or whatever. It was so hot on the turf field in Midland that the glue from my soccer cleats, my boots, melted, and it like actually separated from the sole. And I was like, well, that's probably a good idea. I should probably stop training. So I ended up going home. But Houston was hot, and it was a different type of heat because like Midland is more desert, so it was very a very, very dry heat. And like the best way I could describe it is like it'd be like walking into an oven. Like an oven is very dry, right? It's like you ever stick your head into an oven, it's just kind of like wraps you up.
Yeah.
In Houston is obviously on the Gulf of Mexico, or like very, very close to it. It was very humid, and so I wasn't used to it. And it might have been, it wasn't as hot, but it felt hotter. I think just because of the humidity, and it had an effect on everyone. I remember the first day, I thought I did well. I didn't lose the ball a lot. I think I was making good decisions. It was just really hot, but it was hot. But it was hot for everyone.
Yeah, so it wasn't like you were just experiencing something on your own.
Everyone.
Everyone.
Except for like the local boys that were used to it. We were playing on turf in the middle of the day in Houston in June. Super hot. And all the boots that I had they had black soles. And so that, I don't know how true it is, but it definitely, my feet you just get hot feet on the turf. Just there's a little bit of friction where your feet move inside the shoe, and then there's obviously like friction from the turf as well. I remember some people like had to pull out. They were getting blisters on the bottom of their feet.
Dang.
I would change. So the way the combine worked was you did 11v11, like full games for 90 minutes. So you did 45-minute halves. And I remember they had told us in an email like, hey, this is what you need to wear And again, like I'm very detail oriented, so I read all the emails, like every word. They were like, okay, you need to wear black shirts, or I'm sorry, white shirts, black shorts, black socks. Bring extra boots if you have them. So I brought all that, and I remember we went through the first half of the first day, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna change my boots every half. Like every chance I get a break, I'm gonna change them. And I can't tell you how beneficial that was to put on like a fresh pair that were like sitting in the shade.
More blazing hot.
Oh yeah, it was very relieving. But then 15, 20 minutes in, it's like they're hot again. But yeah, I think I did well. I did well enough to get invited to go play in Ireland.
Wow.
So like at these combines, I think typically, most of what you see is like a lot of attackers. So like more forward positions. So like people that would be like strikers or center midfielders or wingers. You don't see a lot of like right back, left backs, or center backs. I don't know why. It's not like a glorious job. You don't really see them scoring a lot of goals, but it's a necessary position. But at the combines, like if you were to go to their website now, they limit the amount of spots they sell for each position. I've not been to one of their combines, or any combine for that matter, where the defender spots have sold out.
Wow.
Again, I never really thought about it. But my first combine there in Houston, so they had like, I think 2 or 3 games go, but they only have one field. So, if you were in the first group, it was great because, 10 a.m., the sun's not out yet. I was in the first group. We played. People started pulling out by the second and third days. They needed defenders. And they were like, hey, do you want to, play an extra game? And I was thinking, like, they're asking me because they think I'm good. But I think in reality, maybe it was they just needed a body back there.
Right.
Which I kind of took it both ways. Like, I was happy they asked me because they could have asked anybody.
Sure.
Right? But I also think it was more of, hey, people have paid for this. We need to put 11 people on the field and play against 11 people, right?
Right,
we need to field full teams. So whatever we need to do to make that happen, we'll do. Because it's a business. Like the company that runs the combines is there to make money.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And if people have bad experiences, then they're not going to come back, and they're not going to make money.
Right. So what was that feeling like when you got the offer?
The email was very, I wouldn't say it was emotional. I was very happy because it was like, okay, well, everything I did was worth it.
Right.
Right? Maybe if I didn't get it, then it was like, I don't know what I would have done, to be honest with you. I'm not in that situation, so I don't know. But I looked at it as like, okay, they want me to go and play, so obviously I've done something correct. And I think it was, so that was in June, and then we left in August. And so I had basically all of July to get ready. And I just went straight back from the combine. I think I took like a day or 2 off, and then I was like, bang, right back into it, machine mode,
Right.
Back. Yeah, it was a very nice feeling because, I've had, coaches say, you're not good enough. Like throughout college, I wasn't good enough, but to be fair, I didn't put in a lot of work in college. I thought that I was better than what I was, and it was, a humbling experience. And that was from like the ages of 18 to 22, 23. It took me like stepping away from the game, maturing, and then coming back to the game to realize, hey, you're not as good as you think you are. There's a lot better players out there. You need to put in work. And so that's what I did. It's like, I know that there are people out there that are more skillful than me. I couldn't control who shows up at the combine or who I'm playing, but like I knew I could control like my attitude and like how hard I worked, how hard I pushed myself in the gym, how many touches I got on the ball on my own. I could control all of that myself.
Yeah.
So it was, college was humbling, and then I was grateful for the email. I was very, very excited.
Yeah. Well, and you're getting ready to look at getting back on the road and traveling again, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I went to Australia for 2019. I was in the state league over there for a team called Sunbury. Sunbury. They say Sunbury. Sunbury United, because we have Sunbury, Ohio, and people say Sunbury. Spelled exactly the same, but with an Australian accent, they say Sunbury.
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 So I played for them for the 2019 season. Had a contract come through. They brought me over. It was somewhat successful. Like the team didn't get promoted, but they didn't get relegated. Finished in the middle of the table. You know, I did my part as much as I could to help with that. I think that I did well enough to the GM or the manager and the president, you know, have asked me to come back.
Wow, that's cool.
But I'm not really too sure if I would, just because, and I think that there are some parts that need to move to be rearranged to make it work.
Sure.
You know, and I've got some like personal things as well that need to happen for me to go back.
Oh yeah.
But the opportunity to go back is there, 100%. And if it's not with Sunbury, there's another team that's very close to them. They might be in the same league. They might be in a lower or higher. I'm not sure what league they're in, but there's a coach over there that said he would be happy to bring me over as well. But I've got some personal things that, like, hey, it's like, you know, I need this, and this to happen and line up before I can go back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I'd go back in a heartbeat for sure.
Well, and I think it's interesting too, because it's easy for somebody to think about where they're from and let that put boundaries on what they're capable of.
Oh man, I had a little rant on, I think it was Friday night, maybe Friday or Thursday. I was in the gym and I don't know what got into me, but I started making posts on my story on Instagram about that. And I think the first thing I said was, location isn't an excuse. I think that's what I put in, like, big bold letters. I said location isn't an excuse. And then I wrote in smaller letters, I am from Chillicothe, Ohio. And like I geotagged it so people could click on it if they felt compelled to click.
Sure.
I did it on purpose. I did it for that purpose. But I put I am from Chillicothe and I made it out. So like if I can do it, you can do it. If I can do it from Chillicothe, Ohio, then you can definitely go play abroad.
Well, and that's
or even whatever you want to do. Like location is not an excuse, especially with like the internet.
Oh yeah.
Like the world is a lot smaller than what people think it is.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's weird to think about, but I have friends now I can think of one right now that's in South Africa. I can think one right now that's from England. Like, and in large part because of the internet. I mean, these are people I've met in person and are friends with now and consider friends. But you know, a big part of this podcast is kind of having a moment of self-reflection and thinking about like the things that we've walked through that aren't always, might even in the moment be looked at in a positive light, but have helped define who we are. And like, I think about what you talked about, that self-evaluation you experienced as you went up the levels of education and experienced, oh shoot, I had a elevated perspective of who I was and realized when I'm
very elevated, very false sense of who I was.
Right. And it's like you, the big fish, move ponds and realize, well, I was the big fish in that location, but now I realize I'm a lot smaller out here in the ocean. And what I think's powerful is, like, obviously you were doing stuff off and on, and like you said, you kind of left the game and you came back to it with your head more focused. But when you saw an opportunity and like realized, you know, if I put in the work, I can do this, and just how focused you got on that goal. Like, I mean, you really dedicated, like you said, like you don't know what would have happened if you wouldn't have achieved it, but you went in it saying, I'm going to do everything I can to put myself ahead. And look, like, how much it's changed, not just the opportunity to go abroad, but now, like, I mean, you and I met because you were doing classes for middle-aged and high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I would say, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but it's changed your perspective on all sorts of things that now you want to be involved in.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, I never grew up and thought, hey, I'm going to come back to Chillicothe, Ohio and be a, like, coach soccer.
Sure.
I never, ever thought that I was going to come back. Like, I was one of those kids that I was just, like, so hungry and ready to leave my hometown that, like, I never thought I would come back. I never, like, said, I never talked poorly about Chillicothe. I was just like, I want to get out. I want to get out. I need to get out. I need to get out. But yeah, like this, like I never thought that I would come back and be the assistant coach for my alma mater, like my Chillicothe High School. I never thought I'd be there.
Yeah.
I never thought, like, the coach that's still there. He's in his, like, we just finished the 22nd season for him. I didn't think he'd still be there.
Yeah.
And I didn't make his life easy. And I never thought that he would bring me back as a coach after
Right.
being a player for him. But I think after we met in 2018, like in the summer, we had met, and I think he had realized, like, how much I had matured.
Yeah.
And that I was ready to, like, he was ready to take a chance on me.
Sure.
I don't really remember your question now, but yeah, it
was a really profound one, though.
The self-reflection, right? Is that what we were talking about?
I don't even remember now. You forgot my question, and I forgot. Wow, what
it was about the trials and tribulations of your life, and
it was
the
really
trajectory.
deep. It was very.
I got very, very focused.
It was very deep. No, so you were bringing it back around of
Mm-hmm.
you know, even though you're from Chillicothe,
Yeah.
how much that has. Even though you're from there, because you'd kind of gone on the rant of, hey, you're just dropping stuff everywhere.
I am.
What the heck is the deal?
You told me not to use the pen, and
I know, and now you're flipping it everywhere. No one can see it, but just so you know,
yes, I am from
Stefan,
Chillicothe. I am from Chillicothe.
he
Ohio,
is
yeah.
from Chillicothe. Daggone it.
Yep. Born and raised.
But I guess let's put a nice bow on this, since we have totally gone off the rails and forgotten what this powerful.
Dang it.
Oh man,
I'll stay focused for this next one.
It was so.
Ask me again, and I'll not go on a tangent.
And I will not forget what the question was in the middle of your tangent. I know, that's what the notebook was for.
Yes.
So what would you say, like, to put a bow on this, you know, anyone that's interested, whether it's soccer, whatever athletics it is, like, what would be your advice to them if they're like, you know what, I want to see if there's more opportunities out there, that whether it's traveling abroad or whatever it might be, to see what additional opportunities there are for them?
Well, I think with anything is you want to, if you have a role model or you're seeking out a role model, or like you want to, like, okay, for instance, you want to play basketball in college, what would you do? Like, just intuitively, what do you think you would do? Like me, I would go talk to a college basketball player and ask them how they got there, and just ask a bunch of questions. Like, if you want something that someone has, ask them how they got it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, somebody that has a lot of money, ask them how they got it. They may not tell you, or you may have to compensate them, which is fair. You know, but I think you would just seek out help. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I don't think I asked a lot of questions when I was younger that I could have, but now I do. I ask a ton of questions now. Like, I want to learn so much. Like, I always want to learn. So, yeah, I think, like, the best advice for anybody, like, if you want to be a CPA, go talk to a CPA. Ask them what they do. Ask them how they did it. Ask them what it takes. You know, like, if you want to be a nurse, go talk to the nurses. You want to be a professional soccer player, go ask them. You know, you may not be able to get to the Neymars and the Messis and the Ronaldos because they're going to get blown up, but ask somebody else.
Yeah.
Reach out. But do your due diligence as well. There's a lot of fakery, and, you know, especially, like, in soccer, there's a lot of they're businesses, right? Like, these combines are businesses. The agents are businesses. And soccer in America is not looked at. I mean, it's a pay-to-play system, but the kids that are involved don't look at it. They don't look at the money that's involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, mom and dad are the ones paying their club fees, and they don't see all of that goes on. And so then they go to these agents and don't expect to pay anything. And then the agents are like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you have to pay me for my time. I'm the bridge between you and Australia. I'm the bridge between you and Zimbabwe or South Africa or wherever the hell you want to go. Spain, Gibraltar. Right. Be careful, and understand what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's a business, man. I never looked at it like that when I was a kid. I never looked at, like, college is a business, right? And people, I feel like I definitely didn't look at it like that. I thought of it as like another public school because I went to public school. How much money did I spend at CHS to go to CHS? I think maybe there was like a pay-to-play fee for the fall sports, and then my parents paid it, and it was like maybe $30. College is a business, and I don't advocate people go that are going for athletics unless they can afford it. Yeah. Or if it's not affordable. I took some heat for it last year because there was one kid that I was like, "You're good. Like, if you want, you should be going to combines and try to get overseas. There's opportunity out there for you at 18 years old. You should be going to do this." And then he was like, "What about college?" And I'm like, he's like, "Well, my parents want me to go to college." And I'm like, maybe, if it's something they want to pay for, or if it's something you can afford, or if they're going to give you a lot of money to go and it's not going to become a financial burden, yeah, do it. But you're only going to play 3 months out of the year versus if you go play abroad, you'll play 7 to 10 months out of the year. You'll get much better playing overseas than you will in college.
You and I have to be really careful getting on the subject because we will go down. We've talked about this. We'll go down the rabbit hole because and I've talked about on this podcast too. Like, I'm not against upper education. I
like college.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page.
If you think about it, college is a part of my experience. That's like what made me who I am. Yep. I can't, like, I tell people too. I'm like, man, if I could do it again, I would do my first 2 years at the branch OUC.
Right.
But then in saying that, I would have lost 2 years playing because I was playing those first 2 years. And then I would be on a totally different trajectory. Yeah. So like I don't know.
It's a weird thing. I think the big thing, and you and I talked about this. I'm going to be real careful. We've already gone over like an hour or 15 minutes.
That's okay.
I mean, it's
a conversation, man.
It's what happens.
I would rather it be like this than have like robotic questions. What is your age? Where are you from? How are you?
That is not how I roll.
No, it needs to be a conversation. You can edit it later.
I don't edit. I don't edit nothing.
Oh, it's raw.
It's all raw, baby. It's like good thing none of us broke wind.
Could have been, yeah.
Or maybe we did, and you missed it. You have to listen back. But that's how I'm going to get double. I'm going to get double traction on this one. Everyone's going to be listening back to see when one of us flagellated. And it always comes back to poop, doesn't it? But with college, I think. Oh man, I don't want to get too deep into this, but like you and I agreed, and like you even said, your biggest thing that you would advise people to do is go out and ask people about stuff, because I think kids have an idea of what trajectory they want to do, and they have no experience in that, and so they think they want to do something. And then once they get into college and maybe they get to get their hands on it or realize the pathway they're going to have to take academically in order to achieve it isn't worth it. I mean, think about I changed my major in college. I mean, how many
Yeah, I changed mine twice.
Yeah, think about how many people there's probably more people that have changed majors than there are people that kept their majors.
Or that don't even work in their degree.
Yeah.
Like I have a biochem degree and I train kids to play soccer because it's what I love. Like, I'm relatively smart. Like, I can work my way through problems.
You sound smart.
I can work my way through problems, and
yeah.
I think pretty logically. But I don't know. I never knew what I was gonna do with biochem. I thought about like going to even further education, But when I graduated, I was like, God, like I have to take another test to get into this school and do this. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
And then when you step into self-reliance and responsibility and you start to realize the debt that you had to accumulate.
Incurred quite a bit from 4 years of private schools.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, man, things get real. And so
then I was like, well, do I need to add to this fire? Am I going to add fuel to this fire, or do I need to go out and do something else and just walk away and get a job? And yeah, so I definitely took the latter rather than the former.
Oh, yeah.
Which, who knows, like, maybe it was the wrong decision. I don't know, but.
Well, and I think sometimes we're getting deep now in the weeds, but I think sometimes we like things to be so black and white on what is the right decision, what's the wrong decision. But maybe it's a question of what you do with the path you chose as far as decision wise. You see what I'm saying?
I could see that. I think though, that, like,
there's obviously very poor decisions you can make also.
Well, for me, definitely like after soccer was over in college, there was like this huge gap for me. Like it's like just something that's been a part of your life for so long. Like, how do you just walk away from it? And I wasn't ready to coach because I wasn't like, I was mature enough to keep playing, but I was not mature enough to coach yet. At 23 years old, I was not. Yeah. Not even close. And I didn't even really start coaching until I was 27. But it's like, how do you walk away from it? You know, it's a huge gap in your life. So I think because that gap was there, I realized how much I loved it, and then I wasn't going to give it up. Yeah. But I tried to fill it there with the bodybuilding, you know, I know that was something for like a year or two.
Yeah, and you did shows, right?
Yeah, I did I think 3 or 4 the first year I did it, and then maybe 2 or 3 the second year.
Now, we talked about this. Did you do like water cuts and everything?
Yeah. There was, but that was only like, it wasn't water cuts for like weeks at a time. It was literally like the day before the show and then the day of, I believe. And it was like day 1, you drink a gallon of water or maybe a gallon and a half. And then you have like a tablespoon of salt with that water. And then I think it was like over a 2 or 3 day process. But then I remember the day before the show, he's like, all right, at noon, you will stop drinking all water. You will have no water. You will dehydrate from noon, the day before the show, until after you get off stage. And let me tell you, water never tasted so good. Like, because I did it, I wouldn't take a sip. Like, I was at the point, like I don't know what it is about my personality that, like, if there's a plan and I can follow it, like, to a T. And this guy was like, don't do it. Don't drink any water from noon until you step off stage. So that's exactly what I did. And I remember getting that first drink of water after, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I would never do that. I would never purposely dehydrate myself like that ever in my life if I wasn't in that specific situation. Yeah. Like, I would never be with kids now and be like, hey guys, you need to not drink water for 12 hours before you come see me. Obviously, that'd be a terrible idea before you go play soccer. And there's just no application for it to dehydrate yourself other than, I think, bodybuilding.
Maybe that and weight cuts.
Oh, yeah. Like
MMA
what is it?
Or wrestling.
Fighting and wrestling. Like, yeah, the wrestling guys are always very good bodybuilders. Gosh. Some of the best bodybuilders I know now were wrestlers in high school or college.
Well, it makes sense because
they're just like masochists. Like, they're used to it. Cutting weight and punishing themselves.
And you know better because I have never done a water cut. Mm-hmm. But I know just from people I know that have done it and people that have done wrestling in school. I mean, it's brutal. And so you would think, because let's be real, like, you probably got into bodybuilding and I got into working out, bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever, because we liked that type of training. I liked routine.
Yeah. That's what it is. So that's about my personality. I I like routine and I like consistency. I don't like things to change. I like to have a plan. So like for instance, in my house, wherever I've lived since leaving college, I've had a whiteboard and I've had like my week planned out. So I know every day I'm going to work, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, like that. For me, I love it. I love on a Sunday night erasing the board and then looking at my phone, looking at my workout plan, like what am I doing this? Like Monday I'm doing like a hypertrophy workout. Wednesday I'm doing like mobility work. Thursday I'm doing yoga. Like I love having it laid out. I love it.
Yeah.
But so like I got into bodybuilding because it was filling a void.
Yeah.
For sure. I didn't necessarily like the training. I enjoyed it sometimes, but I was definitely filling a void because it was like, well, what do I do now? Like I was so used to playing soccer every day and having that kind of plan.
No one gets into it to say, I'm going to enjoy water cutting. Like I
didn't even know that was a part of it.
Cut. Oh, you're like,
when I got into it, I didn't even know. I didn't even know what it involved.
When your trainer's like, oh, by the way,
well, my reference for bodybuilding was Flex Magazine and bodybuilding.com.
You know, watching Ronnie Coleman videos.
Yeah, like, and I actually thought like, oh, maybe I could be this big. Oh, get out of here.
Oh,
no chance. I didn't have the stones for that. Not at all.
People, you know, it's funny because when you're young, and people do it even now, like they have an idea of what you can achieve in a certain amount of time. And until you've really like applied a little bit of time to it, like really seriously, because I think what people do is they see someone that's either taken training really serious or maybe they've bodybuilt or whatever it was, and they think, oh, if I apply some discipline, I can achieve that 6 months, a year, you know, maybe a couple years. But the reality of their expectations is so unrealistic. And I think part of it is because there's a lot of people that just haven't applied discipline over enough amount of time to get a real idea.
They do it in short bursts.
Yeah, they haven't. They think, oh, well, if I'm really disciplined for 6 months, then this is a much more. Then this is going to be realistic because I've never really been all in. But until you experience that and realize, man, like if you are guys like us, like we, you know, both were skinny growing up and are trying to put on muscle, putting on muscle mass, like real lean muscle, is stinking difficult, man. Like it takes a lot of time. And then even if you're
time and patience for sure.
Oh yeah, and even if you're a bigger guy, I mean, still putting on lean muscle is tough. But then getting to that body composition, it's not like you're going to do it in 6 months. I mean, I don't care. You know, I have to be careful what I say here because I don't know. But I don't think there's any drugs out there that you could take to get you results to the point that, I mean, you're going to see changes, but you're not going to look like Ronnie Coleman in even a year. I mean,
no, I think that part of it, you know, I hate saying it, but like it's genetics. A lot of it is genetics.
Oh yeah,
some people are just predisposed to building muscle faster, or just like the shape of their muscle is different. Oh yeah. Like if you look at my calves are like high up, and they have like a defined shape. There's no amount of training that I'm going to do that's going to make that calf muscle elongate.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to happen
unless you got an implant.
Yeah, for sure. Or like my bicep. My bicep looks the way it does because my parents gave me these genes.
Congratulations.
Yeah. They look okay.
No, your biceps are fine. I'm not
really worried about them.
Picking on your biceps.
Soccer players don't really need to have them, so I don't really care.
Having them is useful, just not having big ones.
Yeah. They peak too. I remember when I was bodybuilding, they would peak. So like I had like a nice peak, and I remember people would like comment on them, like, "Oh, how did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just did curls. Like whatever was in my plan is what I did." And like if that's what the shape of my biceps looked like, that was the shape of them. But I also remember like they don't cover like the full, you know how like I have that gap between like the bicep and where the forearm is.
Yeah.
And like you can like stick like 2 or 3 fingers there. There's like a gap, and I don't know. I just guess it's just like a genetic thing. But yeah, you're right. No, there's no amount of drugs that you're gonna take and look like Ronnie Coleman.
No.
Or look like Jay Cutler or Flex Lewis or whoever the hell you want to name drop.
Well, and it's.
But also, it's unrealistic too to think. But there's a lot of misinformation in the industry as well. Because like on bodybuilding.com, you have guys like Kai Green giving you a workout plan and a meal plan. And so you're like, oh, if I do this for 6 months, I'm going to look like Kai Green. Well, bullshit. No, you're not. Because you don't have the HGH. You don't have the growth hormone. You don't have whatever else could possibly be taking. Like kids, young kids, man, they don't even know what goes into it. There's so much shit that goes in there. And it's very expensive. Like, I have a few guys up north. I mean, they spend money on like insulin, growth hormone.
Oh gosh.
Like it's expensive. Like not let alone like the food, the amount of drugs that they take, and I don't know. I mean, I'm smart, but I don't want to pay somebody to tell me how to take insulin and growth hormone and all that shit. Like,
and you have to sit down.
But you also have to weigh out the risks.
Exactly. And here's the
risk
thing.
Risk rewards. Like what are you willing to do to really be like an average bodybuilder?
Exactly. Like, what is your end goal?
I don't know.
Like, is it worth like?
I think I would be happy, and I was happy like being 140 pounds at my height and looking okay. Like I don't have big legs, but again, because I'm not bodybuilding, I don't care. I'm fast. My legs don't need to be big. Yeah. They don't need to be any bigger than they are. Like I'm fine. But I have abs, like decent sized arms. Like they're cut. I look okay I look okay when I go to the beach.
Yeah.
Right. That's
your barometer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to be like this big veiny, popping, greasy looking thing.
When it's weird, it's very strange how. Like, I've had conversations with friends about this. Like, you can look at a magazine, and even those guys in those magazines, I mean, they don't look like that all the time walking around. The majority of them. I mean, they've prepped for
have you ever been to a show and you watch one of those guys guest pose? If they're guest posing, 2 weeks after their main show, they do not look like what they looked like on the main show. They're more than likely very, very bloated and waterlogged. Yeah. I've never once been to a show, watched a guest poser, and be like, wow, he's ready for a show. Yeah. Because they usually do guest posing after.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think the first show that I did was 2013, the Natural Northern USA up there in Cleveland. And I believe it was Branch Warren and DLB, Dana Bailey, who a name I haven't heard in so long.
That's crazy.
We can get back to Branch Warren, too, because I got a good story about him.
He is short, man.
He is very short. He's also very big. But
he was
the first person that I saw, and the show was in October, and so the Mr. Olympia is in September. I think it was a week or two after the Olympia, and he was just big ball of muscle. He wasn't really cut. He was just a big human being. That's the first time I'd ever seen like a really big human being. Because I've been to the Arnold Sports Festival one time, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Just all the people there were just very shallow, vapid.
It's very commercial,
scummy people. Like, hey, try my pre-workout and try my protein powder. That, whatever. Yeah, the guest posers were,
Even Dana Bailey.
DLB, she looked a little bit better because I don't think she might have been competing in 2013. I'm not really sure.
Well, she's gone back and forth. But anyhow, back to Branch Warren.
Yeah.
Do you have a Branch Warren story?
I do have a Branch Warren story. I have a Branch Warren story. I have a Metroflex story. So in 2015, I was working.
Let's back up. Metroflex.
We're getting to it.
For people that aren't people that don't know what Metroflex is. So it's a pretty famous hardcore gym like Branch Warren, Ronnie Coleman.
They call it it's not the Midwest Mecca. What's it called? They call it it's just called Metroflex.
Yeah, I mean,
like people know it.
Yeah,
there's derivations of it. There's franchises of it.
Yeah, but the Metroflex, it's like a famous.
Is in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, it's a famous hardcore gym that a lot of big name bodybuilders and
all the Ronnie Coleman videos are shot there.
Oh yeah.
So all the lightweight baby.
Lightweight baby.
Yeah, shot right there in Metroflex, and all of the majority, that's the majority of the videos are based there at Metroflex. Like Ronnie Coleman, Branch Warren, Johnny Jackson's out of there because Johnny and Branch are training partners still to this day. I think so. When I was there, like when I would go there, they were there.
Yeah.
But in 2015, I was a commercial underwriter for some insurance group. I hated it because it was 8 hours a day sitting on a computer, like just like banging my head against the keyboard. Hated it. Made terrible money. And I was just like looking for a way out. I ended up getting interviewed for a job in Columbus, and they're like, hey, think about Houston or Dallas, because that's where the job's probably going to be. And I was like, ooh, okay, that's pretty far. That's not Columbus. But I took the interview because they said it would be like Columbus or Cincy. I was like, oh, I could do Cincy, right? Move there. I'd still be in Ohio, close to family. But anyways, I took the job in, they called it the mid-cities. So that would be like Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irving, the smaller cities in between Dallas and Fort Worth, which is called the Metroplex. There's like 7 million people there. I took that job, and the first gym that I went to was a 24-hour fitness. It was literally right down the street from my house, and I like convenience. I don't want to drive 45 minutes to go to the gym. There were multiple locations, and I had a territory job. So, like, if I was in Waxahachie one day, I could go to the 24-hour fitness there, or go to the 24-hour fitness here or there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then I was still, like, in the bodybuilding. I was training like a bodybuilder at the time. I had a coach that I would check in with on a weekly basis. He gave me a meal plan and workouts. But I wasn't competing, and I had no plans of competing because I was in Texas. I didn't know any of the shows, and I was working like full time, and I was like not yet back into soccer. But I was just training, and I was happy with how I was looking and whatever. So anyways, I don't remember how I found Metroflex. Like, I think maybe I was watching some videos on YouTube and just kind of like made the connection. Or maybe I saw something on Instagram, because they have like those targeted ads. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, okay, I Googled it, and it was literally 10 minutes up the road for me. I'm like, holy shit, like I can go in there, and like all those videos that I saw when I was like aspiring to be a bodybuilder, like about Ronnie Coleman and Branch, and I was like, man, I could go in there. And a part of me was like, I'm going to go in there, post a video just so I can, just post the video that I was there. And I went in, first thing I saw was Brian Dobson, the owner of the gym. Had his shirt off, all sweaty. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was, again, 160 pounds, soaking wet. Walked in there, asking if I could train for the day. And then he was telling me about, like, the gym memberships. He was like, yeah, it's $30 a month, month to month. You pay or get out type of thing. And I was just happy to be there. I was like, this is cool. I was like, maybe I can be a hardcore bodybuilder. And I was there for 4 or 5 months. But let me tell you, the Metroflex now is not the Metroflex you see in those old videos. Because those old videos, like, Brian was obviously younger and the gym was a little bit cleaner. But the same equipment you see in those videos from the 90s, the shit is still in there.
Gosh.
I promise you. Like the leg press, the sled has not been oiled. It's very, very sticky. There is dust and dirt and shit all over that floor. Those dumbbells are disgusting. I kid you not, you could do a set with the dumbbells or the barbell, and you'd want to go take like a 5-minute break to wash your hands in between.
Yeah.
It was definitely like you wanted to shower immediately after you left, because you could probably get like a staph infection there. And like there's a big difference between like hardcore and just like lazy dirtiness.
Yeah.
It was a cool gym to be in. It still a very, very hardcore gym. There might be like half of a treadmill. There's no bikes. There's no stationary bikes there. There's a stair climber for sure.
Yeah.
Because, bodybuilders love that stair climber for cardio. I'm trying to think if there's an elliptical. I don't think that there is. But the majority of the gym is free weights. And the back corner, when you walk in and go to your right, there's like 3 or 4 pieces of cardio equipment. And they're very old. Except for the stair climber. I think it might be new. The dumbbells, like the really, really heavy ones, like they're never in the right spot. So for somebody like me that wants things in a nice, neat way, you walk over and you're trying to find the 55s, or like the 65s are way on the left, and then like the 40s are way on the right, or, just disarray. gives me anxiety. But anyways, I would go in there. The job that I had, I would work from Wednesday to Sunday, and then I'd have Mondays and Tuesdays off. And so Mondays and Tuesdays, I wouldn't go to my normal gym. I would go to Metroflex. And I remember one day I walked in, and Branch was walking out, and he I was walking out and he was walking in. And he did one of these. He was like raised his head and kind of like
gave you the nod.
Yeah, he gave me the nod, and I was like, are you? I actually stopped, and I was like,
give him the nod.
I was like, was that for me? He was like, yeah, and I was like,
wait, you asked him?
Yeah, because I was like, I thought there's somebody. I actually turned around and I looked to make sure somebody wasn't behind me.
This is incredible.
Right? And he was like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, nothing, just got done with the gym. And there was like a leg day maybe on a Monday. And I couldn't believe it. Like, he had talked to me. You know, I was like kind of starstruck.
You say, Branch, I love you.
Yeah. No, I didn't say that. He was like, I did like him as a bodybuilder just because, like, he gave people with my personality of like hard work gets you there, hope. Yeah. Because, you know, if anybody knows Branch, he's not the most aesthetically pleasing guy to look at. He's, you know, definitely like pieces, parts, and, you know, like the way he trains, he's just banged up his body.
Oh, he's super hard. I mean, he is legit
crazy
hardcore,
looking muscles.
Legit hardcore the way he trains.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that
I was in there when they would do it too.
Really?
Like, they would be like yelling and shit, like, and I was like, you think you're hardcore? Nah. You go in there when Branch and Johnny were in there, and like, you'd stop working just to watch them work.
Yeah.
Or you wouldn't make eye contact with them. And like, Brian had a very strict no phone policy.
Yeah. Like,
if they saw your phone out, like, they would yell at you.
Yeah.
You couldn't record them. You couldn't record yourself. You definitely didn't take selfies at Metroflex. But like, if they were training, like, you definitely didn't make eye contact, because like, they would just like stare a hole through you.
Wow.
It was very intimidating.
Yeah.
Very intimidating.
Branch, I mean,
but he's a nice guy.
Like I said, he's
like,
not...
I talked to him, and he was actually
really?
a nice guy. Him and Johnny both. But like, in the videos, they have to portray, like, not in the videos, when they're training, they're different people.
Yeah.
Like, they're definitely, like, they're very, very angry. But then once they're done and they're done with their workout and they're outside the gym, fantastic.
Yeah. Actually,
like, decent people to talk to. Like, I went up and asked Branch, like, hey, like, can I get a photo with you or like a video? And he was like, yeah, no problem. No problem. Just, you got to know, like, there's always a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
You don't do it when he's mid-set, you know, benching, or, you know, he's got like 120-pound dumbbells in his hands. Like, yeah. Fuck off, kid.
Yeah, leave me alone, please. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, dude, not a lot of people can say that they trained right next to him.
Oh, yeah. No.
Obviously people that were there, but
that's a very, cool. Very cool experience.
It was cool for me because, like, I was still doing the whole bodybuilding thing at the time, and
you're in the heat of it. So
yeah, and I was posting videos and people were like, oh, that's so cool, and blah blah blah, and you know.
Yeah. Dude, this has been great.
Yeah.
I'm glad we finally sat down and did it.
I think we talked more about bodybuilding than we did soccer or anything.
I don't know if we talked more about bodybuilding, but it's a fun way to end. Because
I think it'll surprise people when they listen.
Oh.
If somebody, like, if I say to the people back home, or like the people up in Chillicothe, like, hey, I just did a podcast, you know, it'll be out in a couple weeks, you should listen to it. They're probably going to expect us to be talking about soccer the whole time. And then the bodybuilding thing, we probably lose some listeners there.
No.
But I think it'll surprise people.
No.
Because I don't talk about it, really.
And I think it's too easy for people to be like... I mean, it surprised me when we were talking, like, once you got talking about bodybuilding.com, it's like, okay, well, wait, how deep does this well go? And then it's like, oh, this goes...
It goes pretty deep.
It goes pretty deep.
That's how I started.
Did shows.
I mean, that's how I learned how to meal prep, was from bodybuilding.com. Like, trial and error. You know, the Chris Gethin 12-week workout program, mass builder, or whatever he called it. I don't know. But, like, that's where I got started.
Yeah.
Was bodybuilding.com. Went on there. got the workout plan, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna do the workout plan, I'm gonna do the meal plan, and if I do this, I'm gonna do it to a T. And I remember, like, I'd never drank coffee before in my life.
Oh, I love this story.
And I remember he had black coffee on the meal plan for breakfast. It was black coffee. I think it was maybe six egg whites and a cup of oats. And he had on the thing, he's like, well, here, this is how I do it. And what he did was he would mix the oats and the egg whites together.
Makes like some the pancake.
He made the pancake.
Yeah. And
then it was like, you put it in a pan and you cover it with foil, right? And then that makes the pancake. And so I did literally everything exactly how he did it. And that's how I started drinking coffee. But then I stopped drinking coffee after I didn't do that meal plan. And then I started drinking coffee again until I got into like the corporate white collar world, where it was like I was using it as a way to like stay awake at the keyboard banging job that I was in. Yeah, man, bodybuilding.com. That's how I learned how to meal prep. That's how I learned how to kind of lift a little bit.
I think that's how a lot of us.
I had a profile on bodybuilding.com, and like you would like log your stats and stuff.
I did too.
And you'd be in a community with people. People would reach out to you.
This is the question. Yeah. Did you have a picture on your profile?
I don't believe I did when I first started because I didn't know. I didn't have a.
I never did.
Right. Okay.
But I did. I think I might have uploaded. I think I might have uploaded some pictures.
I don't think I ever uploaded pictures because that wasn't at the time. I wasn't doing like full body progress photos.
See, I think I did for a contest. I think there was one of their contests, but then I never finished the contest. So then there's just before pictures of me.
Very little accountability on bodybuilding.com. But they had like the whole community like of blogs and.
Oh yeah, I mean a lot of the people that even now I still follow that.
I don't talk to any of them. I don't even know what my login credentials would be.
But
like I'm thinking back now because there would be people that would message me, and before I got into like the competing aspect of it, and like showing your body off on social media, and you'd have those weird people reach out to you. I think that might have been the guy, one of those guys messaging me from bodybuilding.com. But he'd just like ask like, hey, like how's your lifting going and blah blah blah. Like I'm lifting because of this. I'm lifting because of that.
But then it started.
Nah, but it never got too weird. But I think if we would have continued, it would have been.
It got a little weird.
Well, it was like why is a 40-year-old guy messaging a 21-year-old?
That's weird. I didn't know that.
A little strange. Yeah.
Right?
Because when I was 21, I didn't have any 40-year-old friends aside from my dad.
You know, like, hey, I know it's 9 o'clock at night, but what are you doing right now?
Yeah. But I would upload my stats.
Did he ever ask you for pictures? Stefan?
No. So it never got to that. That happened when I was actually bodybuilding.
It's a good thing you cut that. Yeah. Cut that cord. You had a creeper, man.
Well, on
I hate to make this sound bad if this guy's listening. He might not have been a creeper.
Maybe not. I'm sure he's long forgotten about me.
Oh, well, does that make you sad?
No, not at all. If anything, that's very good. I like to be under the radar. But then, like, when I was, like, full into bodybuilding and competing and stuff, every now and then you get those random messages from, like, Facebook and Instagram. Like, I remember on Instagram, somebody had, like, propositioned me to, like, I was living in Columbus, and they're like, hey, if you drive over to Pittsburgh, you know, we can do a photo shoot, and you know, we can make it worth your while. It'll be like this and this, like per hour. You know, if you do this, then you get more. If you do this, you get more. And I was like, what?
Wait. Like this, like, oh, well, you'll get.
So like if you just go to the photo shoot and keep your clothes on, like I think he would have offered, it was like $100. But he's like, if you go like full nude, it's like $300. But then I was like me being naive, I was like, okay, like I can be nude in front of a camera. I feel like I could be, possibly. I could get myself into the mindset to do that. But then you have to ask your questions like, what else is going to be happening at this photo shoot? Like, for $300, are you going to be expecting to be like touching me? Because that is not cool.
Why?
And like not even, can't go there.
Why do you want me naked again?
Yeah.
You don't pay me $300? Wait a second here.
Nah. Have you ever watched the show Weeds? Did you ever watch that show on HBO?
No, I'm familiar with it though.
Well, there's one episode where the son is a bellhop, and one of the guests staying at the hotel requests him as the bellhop and then gives him money to read to him naked.
Oh my gosh.
But he takes the money because they're in a situation where they need the money.
That was almost you.
Yeah, but I was never gonna do it. Ever.
That's it feels like you either almost got like
murdered
or accidentally put in a porn.
Could have been.
One of the two.
Could you imagine? I couldn't even imagine.
Oh man.
I'd have to change my name, move states.
Grow a mustache.
Something.
Power stash.
I would.
Stefan, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
This is
good conversation.
You set the record, sir.
What is it?
An hour and 45 minutes.
Are you sure? I've looked on Spotify. I felt like I saw some that were like 2 hours.
I have a timer right now. Oh, well, for you and I don't think I've done one over 2 hours.
No?
I don't think so.
On Spotify, I've seen the podcast that looked like there might have been one that was 2 hours. You know what? I'm thinking of a different podcast. I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, calm down now. No. Calm down. Are you creeping on me now?
What, on Spotify? No, I'm listening to it.
Don't send me any weird messages on social media.
No, never. Strictly business now.
Strictly business.
I've learned that social media is a very good tool for marketing, for sure. Like, it can't just be, I don't know. Some people use it for the social aspect of it. I'm starting to use it more of like the business side of it.
Oh yeah.
To make money, because that's how I got people to come out to Iron City Barbell and do the class. Like, that's how I've gotten people to come do the sessions with me.
Oh yeah.
That's how I've always done it. So when people first started asking me to do private sessions, I mean, like, I filmed the first one, posted the video, and then people were like, "Hey, like, what's this? What's going on here?" And I was like, "Well, if you're interested, let me know." And then I started posting my schedules on my personal feed. But then when I got back halfway through Australia, I was like, I'm just gonna change my Instagram account to my business account.
Yeah.
And just run everything through there. And then I made a Facebook page, and I don't even have that many people like my page. I've got like 90 people that like my page. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because like, that doesn't correlate to how many people show up to the event.
Oh yeah.
When I hold class, because okay, 80 people like my page, but then 20 people show up to the class. I don't need 1,000 or 20,000 people to like it, because I'm in Chillicothe, Ohio. I need local people to like it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Like, I've already told myself I'm never gonna pay to promote a post or to promote my page, because like, I want organic growth. Like, I don't want somebody from California to like my page.
Sure.
Because what's the likelihood of somebody from California coming out and training?
Well, and let's be realistic. Like, depending on what your business is, and this is us talking as two guys that, we're not making millions of dollars from our social media businesses, but
it's helping.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I feel like there's a stronger connection when it's, someone that is a mutual friend of someone else shares,
for sure.
Shares a post or something like that, versus it just being necessarily a sponsored post.
I'd much rather have, so like on my social media, my Instagram right now is like 1,000 followers. But I would rather have 1,000 followers that are all real than you go to like some of these pages. Like, one guy messaged me, he had 36,000 followers. You go and look at one of his recent posts, may have like 600 likes. Okay, fair enough. But then there's like no engagement. There's no comments, nothing. So it can't be real. If you have 36,000 followers, you post a photo and 600 people out of 36 like it. This is terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Even if it's real,
I'd much rather have 1,000 people and 50 people like my post.
Right.
100%.
The percentage of engagement
at
the end of the day, and like we were saying before, like when I'm scrolling through my social media, rarely does a sponsored ad keep my attention at all. It's now, but when someone that I either respect, know personally, or follow because I like their content, shares something, it's totally different. It has a lot more value. So
100%.
And it's like Gary Vaynerchuk says, like, he says, marketers ruin everything. And he said, and I'm one of them. But it's just reality is that, like, whenever you first would see ads on social media, it was way more powerful until it became blanketed with them. Because now it's
oh my
like,
God, there's just like you scroll through your newsfeed,
oh
even
yeah,
on mobile or on desktop if you're still doing that. Like I use the desktop now
you're
for
so
the,
old.
for the Facebook page because for whatever reason sometimes my phone just doesn't, like my business page on Facebook mobile doesn't work as well as it does
I could
when I'm on the
understand that.
desktop. And
YouTube,
it's easier to
YouTube's
message
the
people
same
as well.
way. I feel like YouTube's the same way. Like if I'm going to do a upload of a video, I much prefer. Now it depends because if I have the video and I have access to it on my phone,
Yeah.
I'll upload it on my phone. But it's
100%.
way more convenient
Yeah.
on my. It's interesting because really at the end of the day, it's like is it more important for me to do something now, even though I want to do it on my mobile, versus is it more valuable for me to have the experience and access that I get on my desktop?
Oh, so like all of everything from except for my highlight videos from Australia, everything else is from my phone. Like I will record stuff on my phone. Just like you can't record like a 40-minute training session or a 90-minute game on your phone. It's just you don't have the storage space for it.
Oh yeah, especially with the quality
like
now.
the smaller videos, like a minute here, a minute there, 100%, because it's so easy to just take that video, bang, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on Twitter and Facebook, like immediately. And I love that everything is synced together. So if you have all of those apps, like from Instagram, you can post to, like I don't use Tumblr, but you can post there, but you can have it set to post to your Facebook page and then also your Twitter.
Yeah.
Love that.
See,
That's so easy.
I know. It's so
Instead
nice.
of going through and having to make 4 different posts
But
for 4 different
what?
applications.
I'm kind of weird because some posts I want on all of them, and some I want it to be like, oh, this is why I follow them on Instagram versus this is why. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, how do you differentiate it?
Yeah.
So that's why I made the Facebook page for SP90 because originally, like before I had it, it was linked to my personal page. And I was like, I don't want to be one of those guys that posts like every business post goes to my personal page.
Right.
Like people have me on Facebook because it's personal stuff. Like I'm sharing stuff about, my life outside of business. That's what I think it should be, right? I've posted a little bit to gain awareness, but as the followers build, I've not posted as much on my personal page.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you on that because that's how I feel like you lose engagement on your Facebook.
Yeah.
100%. Like I would much rather have people go to the SP90 page because they want to see SP90 posts.
Yeah.
I don't want them going to my personal page to see my business stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't want that.
Listen,
I agree with you.
Where, if people want to find you on social media, where all can they find you?
So on Instagram, it's SP90, SP90 Soccer. I actually have to look that up, make sure. I don't want to just say SP90.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, he just pulled his phone out.
No, on Instagram, I know for sure it's at SP90 Soccer.
And if you're interested, just about every platform that I post these on, you can find links to all the social media accounts. Mm-hmm. So that way, if you are interested in following Stefan on any of those, check the show notes, and that way there should be direct links for him. Yeah,
so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's all SP90 Soccer.
Okay, awesome.
S as in my first name, my last name's Perri, P. So SP90, 90 Soccer.
There we go.
I haven't wiped out all of my personal stuff because like I said, I just converted my personal into a business account on Instagram. But moving forward, it's going to be, like my training videos of myself, of classes that I run. So you'll see kids on there, just general soccer stuff. Sometimes I rant through my story. I do that on purpose so that it's not there forever. Obviously, everything you post is there forever, but you can only see it for 24 hours, and then Google can look at it.
That alone would be worth following you, is for the 24-hour rants.
Yeah. They don't happen often, but when I get pissed off, I'll go on there and tactfully say my piece.
That's amazing.
Yep. SP90 Soccer on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Can follow me there if you so choose. And then, if on my Instagram and Facebook, I have my website available. It's just a booking website.
Yeah.
You literally can you click on it. It shows when I'm available to train, and then you pick from there.
Awesome.
So I'm available in the evenings throughout the week, and then pretty much all the time on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I may actually have to do some promoted posts. When I move, I'm going to be in Florida here in the end of the month.
Yeah.
In December. So like after Thanksgiving, I should be in Florida. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to get people down there because nobody knows me there. I have zero network.
Yeah.
Down there.
You all live in Florida.
Yeah.
Or you're connected to people in Florida.
Tell them Central Florida, Orlando.
There you go.
That's where I'll be.
That's where you need to know. You'll feel it when he lands.
I have an interview with a soccer club tomorrow that's based out of Orlando. So hopefully that'll work well. That'll be something to get my foot in the door when I move down there.
There you go.
So
cool. Well, this has been great, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to do this again.
100%.
If
if I move and come back.
Yeah, if you move and come
we
back.
gotta do a follow-up.
Yeah, exactly.
How was it?
How did you survive?
Yeah.
Or did you grow a mustache and you're undercover now?
I will never do that.
Because you did the video.
I didn't do the video. I was like, wait, what's he talking about? I didn't do the video.
Because he ended up going to Florida and doing the video.
And I also, you'll never see me with facial hair. It's not my thing. I shave every day. If anyone was wondering.
This next one may be videoed then. Just to see.
Just to see.
Hey, this was awesome, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
for sure. Thank you.
Whoo! Episode 10 in the books, you guys. Let me tell you something. That was a long one. But it was fun. And I'm sure if Stefan and I get the chance in the future, we'll probably sit down again. Because he's just always got stuff going on. I've got stuff going on. And it's just fun to meet people that are just out there getting after it, going, really focusing on working on things that they're passionate about. So if that's something that, if you're someone that's passionate or has a passion and maybe you're working some type of side hustle or some side job, or, maybe you've left regular employment and you're doing your own thing. I know for myself, one of the best things that I can do is get around other people that are doing the same thing, that aren't making excuses, but are out there actually trying to make it work. So I know I really enjoyed this episode. Make sure you check out the description or the notes to see where you can follow Stefan. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, get the word out if you enjoyed the podcast. I know it helps us out a lot here. And until next time, this is Marty Jacobs on the State Strong Podcast.